Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast. I'm your host, James, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Brody.
Hello.
Kieran.
Hello.
Shannon.
Hello.
And special guest star, Ewan.
Hello. How nice it feels to be on the other side.
I know. It's how the other half live, hey?
It's nice.
On the show today, we're going to discuss our impressions of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, the new look PlayStation 5, Xbox's acquisition negotiations finally coming to a close, and that's it. So, get ready. But before we start, let's address the elephant in the room. Ewan is back, not hosting anymore.
In full Mario Wonder costume.
Ever again.
Absolutely. Yeah. The fans have spoken,
but he still gets
and we're
to edit.
giving them what they want.
Just know that.
Yeah.
He still gets to edit in the acid mines.
Together, so I don't want to get the villain edit.
I figured we needed a video version of you in the hosting chair. People need to not only hear your presence, but see it as well.
I have such a presence. So.
Feel it.
Yes. Well,
absorb it.
The Fab Five, we're all back. We're here. But Ewan, while you're away, what did you do? What did you get up to? What did you play? What do you need to play?
Well, from a video game perspective, I didn't play terribly much. I played a little bit of Zelda because I'm still yet to finish that on the plane. And the game's just dragging on a bit too much for my liking, if I'm terribly honest. Just every time I think I'm about to finish that game, it has something else for me to go and find, and I'm a little over it, truth be honest. So I kind of got a little bit over that and started up Metroid Prime Remastered. Just for like a few hours kind of on the return flight home, which I was thoroughly enjoying. I'm kind of far more keen to go back and see that through than I am Zelda at this very moment. That being said, there's lots of games that have come out in the meantime that I haven't yet got a handle on. I did the classic Instagram thing of going to Europe, so that's where I've been for the last few weeks. And whilst I was in Florence, all I wanted to do was play Assassin's Creed 2, and Mirage did come out whilst I was away, so I have been tempted to play some Mirage. Not that I went to Baghdad, but it's just, that was the connection my brain made.
Well, there you have it. Zelda is the anti-game of the year for Ewan. There you go.
Well, no surprises there, really.
Just how many more things do I need to find,
You don't need to find anything. That's the beauty of it. Do whatever you want.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you did do whatever you want.
It turns out, had I looked in probably the most obvious place that Ganon would have been in, I probably would have found him in the first 15 minutes, but here I am, 70 hours later.
Didn't take long to get our first Jumsy and squabble, did it?
There was no squabbles. I feel that was quite civilized and tasteful, if I'm being honest. Speaking of civilized and tasteful, there's a new Sony exclusive coming this week, and Kieran has played it.
That's the subheading for the review.
Civilized and tasteful.
Yeah, so obviously Spider-Man 2 is out on the 20th of October, so that will be either before or after you listen to this, depending on when you listen to it, obviously. So Kieran, tell us all about Spider-Man 2.
Sure. It's pretty good. I guess I don't really need to I feel like everyone is played or is aware of the original at this point. So I don't feel like I need to really explain too much about it. But as a sequel, it works really, really well. Insomniac's kind of just done the best that they can to really course correct on the stuff that people didn't like about the first game. And I feel like I know they kind of did it with Ratchet and Clank, where they were like, this isn't possible without the PS5's SSD. But I feel like this game truly earns that kind of claim. Everything that is better about this game is largely better because of that. So whether it's traversal, whether it's the amount of enemies during combat, whether it's set piece stuff that takes you through massive locations really quickly, switching between Spider-Man at any point, all of that stuff really kind of just comes from it being an exclusive on a new gen console, which is really cool. It's not I think the thing I was most worried about when they were talking about it being double the size in terms of the map and double the Spider-Man, I guess, was that it was going to be a super bloated open world. And luckily it isn't. I think it's like pretty much the same length as the first game. It took me less than 40 hours to platinum, I think. So for anyone
it's a bigger
worried
world, though, right?
It is a bigger world, but they haven't just like filled it with crap. They've really kind of honed in on the side content that does work. They haven't really kind of done too much goofy inane shit, which is cool. Story wise, like all the villains in it are super cool. There's kind of like a couple of main villains, and then there's lots of other really recognizable ones that are kind of played a little bit more empathetically this time around, which is really cool. I can't talk too much, obviously, about what happens in the story, but there are some really good twists and turns. And Venom is fucking terrifying in this game, which is awesome.
Sick.
Exactly.
Good impression.
I haven't played the first since the original, but I feel like there's more, like, they humanize the Spider-Man more with a lot of like typical Sony over the shoulder moments that are a bit slower, which I liked to break up the swinging around.
Yeah, no, it's really well paced throughout as well. Like you kind of sort of duck and weave in and out of those like small scale moments and then big set pieces.
Yeah.
And then just like you know, every now and then you just get let loose to basically fly around the open world. I mean, that's the other really cool thing, obviously, is they've added the web wings, which are basically replaced swinging as my main mode of traversal in the game, because you can like if you catch enough air on like updrafts and wind tunnels, you can pretty much just fly from one end of the map to the other, and that's like almost from the beginning of the game, which is cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
you mentioned
there's heaps of cool stuff.
The side content that you mentioned, I think that's where the first let me down a little bit. Like once I'd kind of gone through the story, like as good as that was, and I love the emotional beats in there. I hope there's some in 2 as well. I see you nodding. Excellent. Going back to the side content though, like how is that? Like, do they feel more meaningful and purposeful than what was in the first?
Yeah, I think so. Like, there's still a couple of things that feel just like busy work, but it's like it's a very small percentage of what's there. The rest of it, you know, either adds to your, you know, the main character's journeys, or it fleshes out like a villain or a side character a little bit more, or it's just there to take you to places in the world that Insomniac's built that you might not have seen otherwise. And yeah, like I think they did it a bit in the first game, but they do it a lot in this one as well, where, you know, if you're looking for all of the same different type of objective around the map, like every time you go to an objective, they kind of change it up a little bit, so it's not the same as the last one you did.
Yeah, cool.
So I appreciate that. But yeah, there's not too much of that filler stuff, which is really good.
Nice.
Yeah. I really like how like they made it feel like them.
I was about to say, I thought James forgot he was hosting for a second.
Yeah, like out of all the people I thought were going to drop off, I was like, Brody's here, Ewan's here.
We lost our host. We're rudderless.
Are we just going to stop for a second?
You can. No, he's back. Did you press the wrong button, James?
I feel like they did a really good job of like blending in like story moments just into like the general part of the game in terms of like time of day and different weather moments. I haven't played the original since it came out, but I don't feel like it had that sort of sense of changing world to the point that it really felt really integrated and not stop start, or like there were random cuts moving from those side missions to main missions.
Definitely. I think that's like one of the points I made in the review, where like even when you're in those very story heavy moments, you always feel like New York is still there. You always feel like still connected to the rest of the world, which definitely wasn't the case in the first game.
Yes.
And I don't know how much you can touch on, given I imagine some of it is probably best experience in the course of playing the game, but like the combat and how I imagine the addition of Venom, like as a playable character, kind of opens up whole new kind of possibilities with the combat. But in addition to that, did you feel like the two kind of central original protagonists had new combat moves at their disposal as well, or does it only really get exciting as the more Venom is introduced?
No, there's quite a bit of updates to the combat. So like you can parry now, which is cool.
Oh,
And both Spider-Men have like abilities mapped to like pressing L1 in a combination or R1 in a combination of buttons. So they have like gadgets and they have special skills, and you can equip different things in those slots. So there's like a bit of flexibility in the combat now as well, which is cool. There's definitely like it throws a lot more enemies at you, so it also gives you at the same time a lot more tools to like crowd control. And yeah, I think the only negative I noted in terms of like combat or like character progression is the skill trees, because you've got a skill tree for each of the Spider-Men, then you've got like a shared one. And about halfway down all three of those, they stop getting like super interesting. Like they do a good job of giving you all the cool shit right at the beginning.
yeah.
But it does mean it kind of drops off towards the end. But luckily, story wise, you start adding in more abilities and powers and stuff as well. So
I'll just ask a quick question. With obviously a lot of the marketing, they've sort of seemed to at least make it clear that like the Spider-Men are going to work in tandem a lot. Like, do you get the sense that they, work together throughout the story? Like, do they pop up a lot in each other's sort of scenarios? And what is it like, sort of hot switching between the two to do missions?
Yeah, so there's a combination of obviously there's story missions where you play as one or the other, and that's sort of set. But when you're out in the open world or through maybe like half of the side missions, it doesn't. You can play either one. And you can switch. Obviously, they've shown it in the marketing, but you can switch between them in the world map at any time, and it basically instantly takes you to where the other one is.
Yeah.
But you do also often see the other Spider-Man just like going about their business in New York. And sometimes if you go down to ground level and start like beating up goons, the other one will jump in and start helping you, which is cute. And you execute like one of your finishes, and it turns into like a double Spidey finisher.
That's cool.
You can hug it out at the end of combat as well. If they have turned up, you can like press a button and give them a pat on the back, which is cute. So yeah, like there's a good sense that they both exist in the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of flexibility with like switching between them whenever you want.
Yeah. I think I was telling you today, Kieran, that I was surprised like how separate the stories are though. Like for the most part, like they are very separate, like main story arcs for a lot of the game, which is good.
Yeah.
For most of it, I think, in terms of just having it not be one note.
Definitely.
Do you think there are people who could you play it without playing Miles Morales? Like story wise,
No.
would you still appreciate it, or do you reckon it would be jarring?
You probably could. I mean,
his arc is a lot more dependent on playing that game, I think.
Yeah. You definitely need a little bit of context for his story, though Miles Morales isn't that long, so I think it'd be easy to get a recap somewhere and get the gist of it. I feel like in this game, I don't know about how you feel about it, Shannon, but I feel Miles is a lot more interesting than Peter. Like his personal stuff is a lot more interesting than Peter, which is basically just him and MJ fighting over mortgages and stuff.
Yeah, I think for that reason, but also just because I feel like we've done Peter. Like we know Peter's story and like all the villains in this for the most part. Like it feels familiar, where Miles is like we sort of know what it is, and obviously we've seen more and more of him, but it feels new. But he's still Spider-Man, obviously. So it just feels different dynamics, different characters.
I was suddenly very interested to hear how Peter Parker is grappling with the cost of living crisis, though. That does sound like an interesting character arc.
Yeah, I must say that is where like I started to feel like it was venturing into like the typical PlayStation, like over the shoulder moments that we've seen in like The Last of Us and some other games. Like it did feel, I don't know. Again, I could see both sides of it. Like it did bring like the human element to it, but I was also like, this feels familiar to me in a way that they're just going to put this in everything. For this, I don't know. Like Kieran said, it just felt trivial with everything going on in the world.
Did you see the latest cash rate decision? How we meant to deal with this?
It's still minimal. Like it's very they're small moments, but yeah, they stay with you.
That's interesting. I like the sound of digging a bit deeper into the characters. Like I said, like the first game, that kind of emotional sort of beat. I remember it kind of coming a bit later, but in the story. But I thought they did a really good job of like humanizing the character at that moment, which I feel like is a bit difficult to do in superhero games and movies. I mean, Spider-Man, I guess, has done it typically pretty well, but
really don't love the new Peter still. Like I don't like have anything major against him, or like I'm not going to boycott or like voice it on Twitter, but like I just don't. I feel like he's just very cookie cutter, where like the other one had a bit more like personality and just uniqueness.
When you say
like
the
his
new
face.
Peter though, like what do you mean? Like his character is the same,
The
right?
model.
It's the same voice actor, and
Yeah, but like it just feels different. Like it just feels generic and like lacks.
What he's saying is that the new model they found, who is a real person, is just a generic guy. He's not impressed by
It's an
him.
observation.
apparently I don't know if this is controversial, but I do think a lot of people think that he looks like Tom Holland, and I think he does, and I think that was an intentional
He does a little bit.
choice. Like
I don't
looks
see
mostly-
it.
a little.
I see it more for
He looks
the other
most
one,
like
I
Ben
think.
Jordan.
Or the other one are you talking about?
what do you took? What?
The old Peter I see more as like
No,
more Tom
the old
Holland-y.
Peter is like
Really?
Andrew Garfield vibes.
I don't really see
Oh,
either of them.
The old
new
Peter's
one
like
seems
30 years old.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, new one's got more of a
Anyway.
baby face.
Yes, which I think is the aim. Anyway,
Yeah,
hmm,
it's a good game.
But it's good.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
to hear.
I gave it a 9, by the way,
nice.
just to cap that off.
Lovely.
James, take us away.
Yeah, no. If you take
On we
Segue out of
go.
that. Speaking of nines,
no, if you take 4 away from 9, you get 5, which is the PlayStation 5's. Which is the PlayStation 5's
Basic
number.
math. You get everything in this
I am
podcast.
never taking shit from you again on my segues.
I had a really good one, but then you guys kept talking, so I couldn't go back to that.
I've never
talking point.
resorted to math in order to get a segue.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I'm just trying to teach everyone things, life skills.
He's just fighting for his life over here.
Anyway, Sony have announced a new look PlayStation 5, which has had its volume reduced by 30% and weight reduced by up to 24%. The disc edition comes in at $799.95, and the digital edition comes in at $679.95, which is an increase from the last digital edition, if I understand correctly. But fret not if you're somebody like Brody who buys digital and never regrets. You can buy a disc drive later, and that is $159.95. So first topic of the day with this, I guess, is like, how do we all feel about this? The look, the feel, the vibe.
See, what you could have said, James, was speaking of changing a model.
I don't want a backseat host, okay?
Oh,
You can do make whatever.
it's easy 5 minutes after the fact,
Yeah,
Ewan. You're not in the
literally,
moment.
You can make whatever artistic, creative decisions you want when you're hosting. But anyway, let's talk about the PS5. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are surprised by this, and it was literally what leaked a while ago. Which I was sort of still surprised that is the design, but I feel like they didn't do themselves any favors by not showing any comparisons, because I feel like if you're just looking at the new PS5 next to the digital, like the regular next to the digital, like you've got no frame of reference. So like they're not slim or small, but they are like smaller. And the disc edition is the same price with a bigger SSD, and the digital obviously has the price increase.
Oh yeah,
I don't really think there's any.
You do get a terabyte instead of 825 gig.
Yeah.
So.
Which like again not massive, but like that's like Call of Duty or whatever. I feel like there was a lot of outrage for this, and I don't really understand it. Like you could be outraged in like the additional costs for sure, but like it's not worse than the original PS5. I don't think. I am surprised that there's 2 SKUs. Like I thought it would just be, you buy digital and then you buy the disc drive if you want it. But then I can see like that would have caused a lot of negative reaction online about them going all digital and like stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really. I think it's just whatever. If you're buying a PS5, you're getting a better one for the same price.
I think it's also worth mentioning, like, this replaces the original model. Like, they're not going to, like, once the original sells out, this is it. This is all you've got as well.
And that's what irks me a little bit, which totally makes sense. Why would you have like different versions of the PS5 on the market? But like the way that they had released the covers for the PS5, I kind of hoped that was always going to be the case and we would get different options. But because these covers are like 2 separate things, and obviously for a different size of console, like I imagine any new kind of customization options are going to be exclusively for this new slimmer version, which is a little disappointing that like as original PS5 owners, we're not going to have any options to kind of customize, at least from like a first party perspective. I'm sure there's unofficial versions you can still get, but like the colors that are currently out are all we're ever going to have, and I imagine they're going to sell out pretty quickly at this point. So if you don't have any,
I reckon they're going to have to
change,
do like all 4 of them or like interchange. I feel like there's so many PS5s out there, so like they're going to be missing like, I don't know, 20-30 million consoles more if they just ditch the console covers.
But I think the covers they were like hard to get for a bit. But after that first,
they were never like a money maker,
which surprises me because it's just plastic. Surely, like that would be quite profitable.
Even Spider-Man, I feel like there were like 20 in the country, like which makes no sense because
like,
they would have sold.
You'd think it's
many.
just easy money for them, really, to like make them and sell them. But anyhow, I mean that's like a very minor complaint, I suppose.
It's justified. It's the same with like phones. Like you're never gonna win that battle. But yeah, I am surprised. Like even with the Spider-Man ones, like they're dropping those, or they have dropped them, and then there's a new console coming out in a few weeks.
And similarly, like I think the way that the disc drive, the way that works is like an add-on to the new digital version is quite neat. Like it just suction cups. No, that's it. Like it goes under the cover and connects in kind of to the console. Like so, it's kind of a modular sort of system. But that means, right, that Brody couldn't get that disc drive and connect it to his original digital-only version, right? It's not like
correct. So the disc
a standalone USB drive.
Style.
I think it is. And I feel like that's a missed opportunity as well. Like, had it been a standalone thing that could just connect via USB-C or something, then suddenly that opens up the prospect for previous digital purchases to add a disc drive.
I don't think Sony cares about that though. Like, I don't think that they
don't care about me.
And it's been 3 years. Like, it hasn't been a year. Like, it's been
no.
3
It's not even that. I'm just saying, like, the disc drive. I think that's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised to see that harder to get. Like in a few years, I don't think Sony has really any incentive to keep making them, and like it does feel like maybe it's something like
at this point. I think if Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo could all go digital, like they would with no blowback or like not pissing anyone off, like it's beneficial to them.
I think people also. I was going to say we forget, but I don't think we do. But I think a lot of people forget that in Australia it's so different to the rest of the world. In terms of the digital adoption rates and stuff. But yeah, like
and prices as well, right?
Yeah, like and the competition in stores and stuff with pricing too. Like I don't think I don't think it'd be out of the realm of possibility for the disc drive to be unavailable in like 2 years' time.
Yeah, I just looking at the pricing, I do wonder if like they take like a slight loss on the digital, or it's sold like almost even, and then they make money in the disc edition, and that's how they have the digital. Then again, they just gave the digital a price increase, so I don't know. But yeah, I do feel like there'd have to be some benefit in them selling the disc edition. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah,
I just don't really understand still why that. I feel like this would have been more easily accepted if it was just this is the new PS5, it's digital. If you want a disc drive, you buy it. If not, like this is the PS5 going forward. I feel like it's weird. Like people are making the comparison because it's literally the same offering, essentially, just in this new weird form factor that Ewan mentioned is like has this weird detachable disc drive on the console.
Is the one with the disc drive already in it essentially just a bundle? Like, is it just the digital one with the disc drive already attached?
Imagine it's not. It's like soldered in.
Like it's fucking melted.
I guess
I don't know.
We don't know yet.
I guess I'm asking a question that should be reasonably straightforward to answer, but
but maybe it's not.
Maybe
I don't know.
It's not.
You're gonna have to build it yourself.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get our hands on one of these and figure it out. But yeah, in theory, like I guess that would make more sense because it's just a packaging thing for them. They're not having to produce like different SKUs or anything.
I know they're going to sell like face plates.
I think if you go to a store, there will be 2 boxes. Like I think that's going to be
like
I don't think.
But in terms of like what's produced on the manufacturing line, it's not. Yeah, they're making the PlayStation 5 console, the disc drive, and 2 variations of the cover to like support the different disc drives. I imagine that's the simplest thing for them to do, and then just package them up a little bit differently. But yeah.
What about the stand?
Shannon's right.
How do we feel about the stand, Kieran? Do you like it? Are you going to pay $50 for it?
No, I'm not. But it does look better than the original. Like I have mine horizontally anyway. The only thing it looks good, but it's wild to think that if you do buy the digital and then you get the disc drive and then you get the stand, which is pretty much everything you get in a PS5 right now, it's like $890 altogether. So like,
yeah,
it's just weird, like being 3 years in and they're slimming the console down and you're paying more. But
and it has a peg leg as well.
And it has a peg leg. So if you don't buy the stand, you get the peg leg.
And that's how it lies horizontally, is with that little bit of like acrylic that just props it up.
Yeah. Look, my PS5 doesn't fit in my cabinet without ripping the wings off, which hasn't led to any issues yet. But I am kind of excited to just have it fit in there. Like I often think people forget like how big of a unit it is until you like have to take it somewhere or like lift it. Like it is a hefty beast.
I think this is all making me realize, all of these years later, I'm still not a fan of the PS5 design.
Yeah, it's hideous.
Looking at the way they're now having to work around this for all of these stands and stuff, it's just a bit cumbersome. And like flattening off the bottom of the disk drive so it can stand on that makes total sense. But then I'm like, how does it work for the Slim? Does the peg leg just kind of sit in the middle and like support the arch? Sorry, the digital only version, not the Slim. Yeah. And I really do hate the stand. Like, it works okay when you're standing it vertically because it kind of feels like it secures into place a bit more. But when you're laying it horizontal, it just kind of feels like it sits there. And every time you need to like reach behind it to add a cable or whatever, like it just feels like it's kind of falling apart.
I think mine fell off the stand like months ago, and I've just been using it.
Just
like laying on its side.
It's hanging at an angle,
It's just hanging there. It's just...
Well, you kind of do have to balance it. Like, it's really annoying.
It's shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
I'm glad it's smaller this time around, though. If there was a smaller, cheaper one, I would maybe get like a digital one as like a second option to have in my study or something.
Say that again, Shannon?
Words we've never heard him say before.
Oh,
it breaks it up a bit, like the big plate. But yeah, I think I'd probably just buy a digital if I was to get one. Like going from the big disc to the digital will be a big, like that'll feel like a Slim, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
And
we'll see.
Release date. We obviously didn't talk about that. It is this year for most territories. Is that right? Except us, potentially. I just realized I didn't put it in the notes.
It's interesting. They've said November, like starting in November, but then like the random 2 new SKUs that we had for the PS5, we actually got first in the world. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if we maybe do see this earlier.
Maybe they'll be here next week.
But yeah, I think this holiday, like I think stock's already drying up. So who knows? Dropping in stores any second.
Yeah. It probably is just a supply thing, right? How quickly they can roll these out.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, I don't know if any of you guys know it, but like, what is PlayStation supply like nowadays? Like, is it just you can get one whenever you want? There's no kind of real slowdown or anything like that.
I asked before the show. I don't think digital's been super well supplied, but I feel like you can walk into a shop and get a disc one pretty much since forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder, how does it work? Like, I've never really been in this predicament where I've had to like upgrade. Sorry, you were ready to segue out, were you, James? No.
Happy you're back.
You've hindered him again.
No.
If a store carries both the original and the Slims, are they forced to like sell through their original stock before you can get the Slim, or can you as the customer kind of request which one you want at that point?
What? I think that's... What do you mean?
No one's going to request the original. Like, if you are, I want words.
I would assume that the fat ones would be cheaper, and
they'll clear them out,
and that incentivizes somebody to buy that over the Slim, maybe.
Some people are just like, I really want the peg leg. I've got a matching eye patch for it already.
Very good.
Let's go, James. Let's go.
Speaking of getting pegged.
My God.
My last point I just want to say is, do we think we'll get one? Do you think you guys will all grab one or not?
No.
I'm struggling to sort of see the point at this stage in upgrading. And the more I think about it, the 2 SKUs thing confuses me more and more. Like Shannon's idea of it being a digital with a bolt-on thing kind of makes it more digestible heading toward an all-digital future, which is inevitable, I think. So I don't know. I think it just confuses me from a why would you do it sort of standpoint. But it's a no from me.
If like EB do a trading deal or something and it's like a few $100, it'll end up being
It would have to be
$800 when your PS5.
Yeah, it'd have to be a
three
pretty
controllers and you get a new one. Like,
may as well trade in your fucking your covers as well, your clip-on covers.
True.
It's
it'd want to be a pretty juicy trade-in deal for me to consider.
I'd like to see one, so hopefully someone gets one at the very least.
Yeah, if there was like a performance increase of some kind, I probably would. But at this stage, I don't think I need it, to be honest.
Yeah, they haven't said anything about it like being quieter or anything like that, have they?
It's pretty quiet already.
Yeah, I've never heard mine.
Mine's like whisper
but I've
quiet.
never turned it on, so I don't know.
Well, you were doing so well, James, until that moment in the PlayStation segments.
No, I'm just thinking about like the last exclusive I played, and I was playing it for ages. I feel like it was fine, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
maybe
about Dusty
mine's
House either,
not
so
being
that helps.
terribly noisy.
Like, it's not. Sometimes it's not the console's fault, you know.
People are pigs.
What are you trying to say?
Gamers are pigs.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like it's fine, and I feel like surely we'll get a Pro next year, and then people can be happy or not.
You reckon a Pro so soon after this?
Yeah, I
think so. I don't think
is that like another module that you clip on?
No, like
that'd be cool. One that goes in on the top.
An expansion
it becomes
pack.
like a hot rod.
Yeah.
We may as well get to that point at this point. Like that would be better for
like computers.
6 faceplates on each side.
Yeah. 2 4090s strapped on either side.
Until it's like kind of scaly looking. With all the different faceplates.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I thought you were attacking me.
We've strayed far from God here.
All right, let's go.
Speaking of straying from God, the deal for Xbox to acquire Activision Blizzard King has gone through, which is exciting news for some, I think. So in an email to Microsoft employees informing them of the news, Phil Spencer said that they will now work to bring Activision Blizzard and King's library of games to Game Pass, and that there will be more to share in that regard over the coming months. Just before the deal went through, Activision insisted that the new COD and Diablo would not make it to Game Pass this year, so I'm sure it'll probably happen next year. Yeah, like, is anyone... I was listening to old episodes last week just to, you know, improve my form, and Ewan famously predicted that the merger wouldn't go through, so how does it feel to be wrong, Yui?
Look, it wouldn't be the first time I've been wrong. So I've been down this road before. It's fine. I was right about some things. I predicted that Last of Us was going to get nominated for an Emmy, and did it? Boy, did it ever!
Yeah. Well, we're just talking about what you got wrong on this segment.
Yeah. Well, look, there's still a challenge that's that the FTC could make to them in court. I think something like that. I'm losing track of it at this
and
stage.
Microsoft, what about the tax evasion? $50 billion. Maybe they'll run out of cash before they can
pocket change.
Put it through.
What's this segment? I was just wanting to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Anything but.
Yeah. Look, I'm surprised. I am surprised that this has gone through. I'm kind of relieved that it's nearly all over. Like you all, I'm kind of getting a bit sick of this being in the news cycle every week. But at the same time, it is a bit odd, the concessions they've had to make to get this over the line.
I was going to say,
obviously Call of Duty is going to be... So yeah, the Ubisoft thing, for sure, that is kind of weird. Ubisoft are going to be the publisher of their streaming of their games on streaming
just
services.
Cloud streaming outside of Europe, I think.
Yeah.
Or something.
Super kind of odd, that kind of weird anomaly of a thing that I feel like you get someone to agree to in order to appease the regulators, because you're like, okay, I don't think you as a regulator really understand how this industry works, but if this is what's going to allow you to sign this and make it happen, then sure, we'll do it. And no doubt Ubisoft are getting paid some good money to facilitate that, I'd have thought, or they see some revenue opportunity for it. So I'm sure that's music to their ears, like being in the position that they are currently. And yeah, obviously Call of Duty we're going to see on other platforms for at least the next 10 years as well. So I don't think Microsoft has kind of got the full kind of deal that they wanted to get out of purchasing Activision Blizzard. I think they would have loved to have just taken all of these assets in-house, owned them exclusively, and had their way with them 100%. But ultimately, like, it's 10, 15 years of kind of awkwardness until they arrive at that position where they're at. And I'm sure at that point, all of their kind of AAA studios will be in full swing and they'll be delivering the exclusives that they want to deliver. And I think they'll be in a really good place at that point. In 10 to 15 years.
In 10 to 15 years.
I don't know. What do you
like,
think?
What do we think is going to be like the first major thing to happen? Is it going to be like Spyro and Crash and some older games coming to Game Pass? Like I guess like we've spent so long talking about like, will this go through? Will it not? I haven't even really stopped to think about what it means.
Yeah, I mean they've got such a big catalog.
The COD deal was like COD appeals on everything for 10 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so. All the agreements that are in place with like all the streaming platforms and Switch, obviously, or Nintendo.
I think COD coming to Switch is like probably the first big thing. I know that's probably not what they wanted, but you know, of all that stuff that they've talked about, I can see that happening sooner than later, especially in Switch 2.
I like to imagine someone like feverishly now trying to cobble together a Modern Warfare 3 port for Switch.
Well, yeah, like how is this going to work then? Because that kind of game might stream to the Switch. So, like, is Ubisoft going to stream an Activision game to the Nintendo Switch? Is that how that's going to work? I don't know. This is just a weird hypothetical I'm throwing out there.
Only Uncle Phil knows.
COD Mobile, because the architecture is similar.
Yeah,
it'll be like Switch 2, right? Which like we think is going to be like PS4 at least.
Yeah,
so it'll be fine.
Yeah,
it's worth having it on there.
I feel like they use the word parody as well when they were talking about these Switch ports, which is concerning. So, yeah, I think it has to be either a mix of both, or if that's possible, or probably just streaming. Yeah. But yeah, Activision has such I didn't realize until I was reading a list the other day of like the list of IP that they had and still like control. Like, it's crazy to think that, you know, Crash especially, I guess, is now an Xbox mascot effectively. So I mean, yeah, I guess you see those games come across, obviously only to the extent you can, like the third-party published ones and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be a big few months for Game Pass subscribers for sure. I'm keen personally for the Transformers games if they can get those across. Obviously, I wonder how much of the stuff is going to be hamstrung due to licensing though. Like, you might not see Guitar Hero and you might not see Transformers because of Hasbro and stuff, but I feel like Hasbro want to put Transformers everywhere. I mean, the movies keep happening, don't they? So, yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
I feel like that big back catalog dump, if they can manifest it, will be pretty satisfying. Seeing all of those kind of classic games come on there, and maybe that's what you're right. Licensing might be an issue, but that might be the easiest and kind of best win for them if they can just kind of make all of those available to players through Game Pass. Then that's a really nice tease of what is to come, but also like a really substantial value add in one fell swoop.
Like, I think I tweeted this week, like, it'd be crazy if they like got all the Guitar Hero games on there just like that.
Yeah.
And then I could go back and just absolutely rock through those.
Yeah.
And be a bit of a trip down memory lane. So
and I think there were some teasers like around Guitar Hero, right? Like at a recent
I think Big Bobby said it might come back.
Yeah.
But he's
I don't know. I feel like stuff, it is cool, but like I feel like it died off for a reason. Like even the last Crash didn't do insanely well.
What Crash?
I don't think that's like their big four. Was it Crash? It's about time.
It's about time.
And like Spyro, they obviously can. Like Activision had obviously canned a lot of this stuff because they knew it wasn't going to make the money they wanted. It's all big, and I think but yeah, it is like the CODs and the not even Overwatch, but like Diablos. Like there's obviously some huge franchises there, and King, who I don't really know anything about, but
Candy Crush,
a massive, I'm sure.
Candy
Crush, yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know where Microsoft are going with it, but I don't think, like, just because those games didn't sell well, I don't think they care because it's all just about adding value to Game Pass, which is still what
that's the thing, right?
Pumping and pushing out.
So, like, Netflix buys a shitty show that we don't care about, but like, it's there for like another audience to have on Netflix. Like, not everyone watches Netflix for the same reason, you know? So I guess they want to grow Game Pass to audiences that traditionally haven't maybe been on Game Pass, especially with the TV
I think,
thing.
like Crash and Spyro and Guitar Hero, like, they're all massive. Like, I'm not discounting that.
I think Guitar Hero, though,
does
like,
Tony Hawk like fall into the mix as well?
Yeah,
I'm kind of looking at a list of
Which is that?
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, Tony Hawk,
yeah, for sure.
The old Spider-Man games, bring them back. Really rival.
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man finally on Xbox.
That would be kind of
where it
hilarious. I'd be about that.
I think Guitar Hero, though, like the challenge there would be like you can't assume
the
everyone has
peripherals,
but I can see them.
Yeah.
If a new game were to come out, you could maybe do some kind of mobile integration like Just Dance does now.
Yeah.
You know,
Bring the Kinect back. I say.
I don't know about
Let's do it virtual, baby.
Let's just relax a little.
Let's not get carried away.
They've had a good amount of time to
Shannon
think
locked
about
us
what
back
they're going to do. Yeah, in the short term and long term, if this does go through, like, and really think about it. So,
like it has.
I think we'll
through.
start seeing stuff fairly quickly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they've had,
Yeah,
if it went through, like, they've had 18 months or 2 years or whatever it's been to plan for this moment, and really think about it. So let's see. I'm keen to see how it changes things.
In addition to, like, it worked pretty well, I think, with the Bethesda thing of, like, I imagine the rollout to be pretty similar. You kind of initially see the older Bethesda titles kind of come on there, like the classic Fallout games, that sort of thing. And then it's now at the point where every new release just kind of adds to it. I'm sure we'll see a similar trajectory, and yeah, excited for that to all roll out. Finally, now that all this is over.
Hopefully we never talk about this again. That's my dream.
I feel like we kind of now have to hope that Game Pass sort of works out because Microsoft own a good chunk of the industry.
Yeah. What's the next big acquisition, and does it go through, do you think? Is this the last big one we see?
I could see something for Japan from Xbox, but
Nintendo.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I still feel like Ubisoft or EA are like ripe for the taking, but I don't know.
Wasn't
Like,
EA
is this
and Disney was a big thing?
Yeah.
Last week or the week before.
Or Apple. I feel like Apple obviously want to be in that space, and obviously they're the only ones that can match.
Like, that's all they
They've
want.
got the money.
Yeah,
so.
they do. Capcom, watch out, exclusively on iPhone.
Would that be enough to make you switch over, James?
But I would do it. So begrudging.
Reluctantly with an Xbox controller.
I do genuinely think
iPhone
it's
on the other side of the room.
Interesting time for the industry, because like I saw like a report earlier today as well. I can't remember who posted it, so I can't give credit to the source. I'm sorry, but like about venture capital kind of drying up in the games industry, and we've obviously kind of seen the way things like with Koch Media, Coke Media, sort of playing out with that big investment kind of falling through, albeit from the Saudis. Am I getting this right? Koch Media. Thank you.
Proudly.
I just worry that like there's not a lot of room for significant players within the games industry, and it's kind of like harder to make a return.
I think that's reasonable. In terms of, I think Embracer recently announced they were shutting down a lot of studios or restructuring or something.
Sorry, Embracer was who I was thinking of.
I think that's, and that like frustrates me because they own so many good IP that I like. And it's kind of exciting that not every game of theirs had to be this big blockbuster AAA, you know, like, and I liked that they seemingly were making room for those smaller scale experiences, but now all of a sudden I feel like it's all getting shut down and it's not even going to happen now. And all these licenses will fade into obscurity again. Like, it sucks.
I also think like a lot of these companies have made decisions in the last few years based on like gaming and tech being up, like people having more money to spend through COVID, people having nothing to do but like consume entertainment. So like, like we saw record numbers for almost everything, like whether it be Fortnite or like all these free-to-play games, whatever it is. And I don't know if it's ever going to, I don't know, I don't want to say it's never going to be that again, but like I definitely going to think we've seen a shift in the landscape that will, see some of these studios and games and their plans sort of crumble a little bit.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Yeah.
It's over.
The dream, it's over. Cancel video games.
Yeah, I'm going to take up knitting.
Need us a hat.
Yeah.
all of us a microphone cozy.
Custom hats. Yeah, well, let's move on to my very lazy rapid fire question. So as we talked about previously, the Activision CEO has hinted that Guitar Hero could be making a comeback. What peripheral centered series do you guys think needs to come back? I have one, but I think someone else is going to steal it.
Can I go first?
Maybe. Yeah, go.
I'll say Donkey Kong.
You're
Jungle Beat.
fucking annoying.
I'm just going to say
everyone's.
And I don't really believe this, but I'm just going to say, because it's the only one I can think of, I'm going to say DJ Hero, I suppose.
Nice.
DJ Hero was good.
That's like
It was good.
Yeah.
It was
Hero
good,
kind of made a little bit of a comeback thanks to TikTok recently. Like I saw some people posting.
Good for
some
DJ
videos.
Hero.
I feel like I've still got my
Turntable.
Wii Fit. Wii Fit was also good. I'm just going to add that in and still another
Yeah,
one.
that was the one I was going to. I feel like Wii Fit, the idea of the balance board, could have had some neater integrations. There was
Maybe
like
Tony
surfing
Hawk Ride?
and skateboarding games
gonna
and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Hawk Ride.
The best Tony
I think-
Hawk. Can't wait for
I
that to
think
come to Game Pass.
Bring back Babysitting Mama.
Oh no.
Does that have,
Oh.
I've
Did that
never
have
heard
an
of that.
actual
Does that have a
Put
little
a
baby?
Wiimote in it,
Yeah,
didn't
you
you?
get like a
plug-in
baby
baby.
doll.
Oh,
You shove a Wii
no.
remote like inside the doll and you shake it, and then like,
None of those things are good.
Babysitting mama.
I encourage anybody who
I could picture a younger James
Shaking a
frantically
baby.
shaking the baby to get his anger out.
nah, a younger James. It came out when I was like not young. I don't think.
Babies famously go to sleep if you shake them. So
Yeah, Brody would know. He's the expert. See, Brody, you can play that now and have a newfound appreciation for parenthood.
you're right, I
Yeah,
could.
I was
You'd
20
master
when
it,
this game
platinum
came
it.
out, so I wasn't young.
That's a bit more disturbing there.
Yeah, well, I didn't play it. I should probably be clear. So mine was Donkey Konga, but Shannon stole it. But DJ Hero,
What a game.
DJ Hero is a good one because I had like good music.
What about Resident Evil Chainsaw? I thought that's what you were going to
No,
say.
that's,
Just
no, 'cause that's not a game. Like it's just a controller.
True.
Yeah, Shannon.
You fucking idiot.
Yeah. Tell the story about how you sold it again.
Yeah, okay.
For the 72nd time.
I every time someone has brought up this story, someone else has done it, not me. And you, like,
What about Time Crisis?
Oh,
Get that back
no.
on the list.
That was gonna be mine. Light guns. Bring those back.
Point
Yeah,
blank.
bring back light
I don't
guns.
think we can we? Isn't it like physically impossible with these TVs?
No. Yeah.
Remember the Time Crisis?
Really?
Well, we can
No.
just use like gyros now, I
Yeah.
guess.
So Ewan, back in the day, TVs
Was
weren't
never the
flat.
same, though.
They used to be thick, and they had like
Yeah,
tubes,
I remember those.
tubes of light in them, and that's what
Concave.
the guns used to like speak to or something. So like once they did new
Ah.
TVs, you couldn't like have light gun games, and they tried to do it with I don't know if anyone bought the Time Crisis 4-pack. So for PS3, you got like sensors. You put them onto each end of your TV to set.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
Actually,
Wow.
SingStar, once it went to iPhone, was just never the
Oh,
same.
Buzz.
Like, give us the mics.
Oh, yeah,
give us
Buzz
the
and
mics.
seen it. Remember seen it?
Buzz.
Buzz.
Sony were low key goats of the peripheral game, weren't they?
The iToy, yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
was
not
that was
Yeah.
a
What
good one.
about Wonderbook? Do you guys remember that?
No.
Stop it.
That's when it all started getting downhill, unfortunately.
So I looked up a picture of this babysitting mama game because
Yeah.
I wanted to see what
Good
like,
rapid fire question, this, by the way.
the toy,
You know
the
what's good
toy
about
looked
it?
like.
Rapid.
And at first I was like, oh, it's not so bad. It's like a soft toy baby. It's got like a cute kind of curl on its forehead.
You
It's
know,
not
it
so
kind of
bad.
looks like you.
Then I saw the back of it. There's like a skin flap where you stuff the Wii remote. It's
Yeah.
horrendous.
Just like real life.
It's not near the butt region, is it?
No.
It's
It's
like
like,
a-
kind of
it's like
a
further up
spinal
the back.
cord
It's kind of
vibe.
gross.
Oh,
I'll send
no.
you a picture.
No, please
Let's
don't.
get one.
Get one for the office.
Yeah.
Just sit it on the shelf.
I mean, they're on Amazon right now for $50 Australian.
Oh, that's
50
funny.
That's a good
Australian.
value.
Jeez.
But it doesn't come with the doll.
And then you can buy a
I
Wii
feel
for
like
about
that would be-
25.
Get
so you're
Kieran to
laughing.
expense it. It sounds like some social content.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, that was
Well.
a nice trip down memory lane, wasn't it?
Speaking of
was
shaking
the
babies,
better
let's play
time.
What the Wiki.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what the Wiki is, press start pod. Oh my god, I can never read this bit. Ewan, I have a little bit more respect for you. What the Wiki is the Press Start podcast game show where the previous week's winner reads part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game and the contestants must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess and the round ends after one person scores 2 points. that's not how it's worked previously. But yeah. So on 29 is Brody. On 26 is me. On 25 is Kieran. 23, Shannon. 21, Ewan. And then on 1 point each is Harry and
slip behind.
James W.
I've missed so many episodes.
Not that far
You're
behind,
not
though,
that far
really,
behind,
considering how long you've been going.
Yeah, you could jump me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still
It
in
just
it.
shows like...
And you could get points as well.
Although we're
some
being
people.
told we most won't even bother with this round, so
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for context, as I am hosting, obviously.
Yeah, I was getting to that. There you go.
Sorry. As I was spending about 45 minutes trying to get my computer working for this, you're welcome, everybody. I forgot games, so I reached out to friend of the show and press start writer, Matt Zamari, and he has dealt up 4 of the fucking most obscure games I think we've probably ever had on the show.
Sure.
So, I'll start with the one that I think is probably going to be the most accessible, and we'll go from there. It's going to get dire. This could be a long What the Wiki. Strap in. All right.
Strapped.
The game released for MS-DOS, Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES, and later released on Macintosh in 1994. The player controls Blank, who must travel around the world to find and return stolen treasures as part of a quest. The game is part of an educational. Yep.
Is it Where in the World is Carmen San Diego?
It is not Where in the World is Carmen San Diego. The game is part of an educational series of games. Well, not series. Yes, it is. Yeah, sorry, I'll take that back. And it marked Blank's
Is that what the
first
Wikipedia
starring...
page says?
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to skirt around words, and it's getting really hard to do so because they're using a lot of proper nouns. It marked Blank's first starring role in a video game, although they were a main character in a 1990 Game Watch game, which would not occur again until 2001 when Blank was released for the GameCube. As I said, the game is educational. The computer version is a point-and-click adventure, while... Shannon.
Mario's typing challenge.
Why would that be on NES?
How did you get that?
Is that real?
That's not right.
Okay.
The computer version is a point-and-click adventure, and the NES and SNES have platform game elements. In the game, Bowser, King of the Koopas, has relocated from the Mushroom Kingdom to the real world, where he has set up his headquarters in an Antarctic castle.
James.
He plans to steal the Earth's treasures with the use of the passcode-operated remote transport and larceny system, Portals. James.
Can you repeat the platforms?
Ooh.
What is that? Yes, I can. MS-DOS, NES, SNES, and it was later released for Macintosh.
It's not Mario is missing, is it?
It is Mario is missing.
Damn it. I wasn't sure if I was allowed back in yet. I should have asked.
Wow.
Well done, James.
I've
Never
never
be
heard
shy, Kieran. Just bow in. I'll probably let you go anyway.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
were talking about that recently.
Yeah,
James.
we were.
Really?
I remember renting it and I was like
Well,
so
there you go.
disappointed because you had to learn. It was the worst.
Okay. James on 1 point. And upcoming
Well done.
here is probably the most obscure of the 4 games that I've never heard of. But please,
Is it Mag?
entertain me.
That's a deep cut.
Though disliked by critics due to its easy gameplay, repetitive music, and awkward camera angles, Blank was followed by its sequel titled Blank. So this is the sequel, to be clear. No, it wasn't. No, this is the original.
Oh my God.
This is the original. This 3D platform game has players take on the role of one of 4 anthropomorphic Blanks and travel across 6 themed worlds. The Blank's elongated tongue can be used as a weapon, as a means to traverse gaps, and as a way to leap onto platforms.
James.
Once the tongue is unrolled... Was that James?
James.
Oh, he's gone for the clean
Is
sweep.
it Chameleon Twist?
It is Chameleon Twist.
Oh
I've never heard of the
my
fucking thing.
wow.
Best
God.
game ever.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm glad that's over, if I'm honest.
Oh my God.
Yeah, look, sorry.
Chameleon Twist.
Can I read another one?
yeah,
Just
absolutely.
because...
Sure.
Do it.
That puts
So-
James on equal first as well. That's a big,
Yeah,
big
spicy.
move.
one of them that I won't read is a game called Pandemonium.
Oh my God, that was
which
the
came
best
out
game
in
ever.
I would've got
96.
that.
One.
Yeah.
Not the
Yes,
Endgame.
yes, and it's made by Toys for Bob, which would have been topical, but
Would've got
nevertheless,
that in an instant.
I'll read this one.
You should have
Okay.
played
Sorry, I'd never heard of it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The game. This will be quick, by the way. Is this for bonus points?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's risky.
We did bonus points last week.
Business.
If it's one of us,
It's up
if
to the
it's
loser.
James,
Risky for
No,
me.
Yeah,
if we can beat James, the chaser, then we
If
get
you
it.
if all three of you can beat James, you all get a point.
How does that work?
How about that? Because why not?
We'll say it together.
Let's get weird.
If James gets it, he gets 3 points.
No.
So if one of us gets it before James, then the three of us get points.
All three of you get points.
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
And if James gets it, he gets no points. All right. The game was released by Apogee Software for MS-DOS in 1994. The game strongly resembles Super Mario Kart from the Super NES, but the karts are described as lawnmowers, and the 8 playable characters are animals from a zoo. The game was re-released on GOG with support for Microsoft Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, and then for Steam in 2015. When racing, players can collect hedgehogs, bombs, and other objects that can be used to shoot or distract opponents.
Oh.
Was that James?
Let's let Ewan go first for the funny element.
Go on, Ewan.
Ewan, please.
I'm just going to combine some words together that I think sound fun, and maybe it's a game I've heard of before. Is it Animaniacs?
What?
That's definitely not. I think it's a show.
It's like a TV show.
It's a cartoon. James, please put us out of our misery.
I don't know. Is it like Scunny Cart or something? Is it actually?
That sounded like a slur. Did you say Scunny Cart?
Scunny Cart. That's a real game.
Scunny Cart?
Yeah.
Scunny.
Scunny.
All right.
No,
it's wow.
Someone.
The game was and still is distributed as shareware with only a few characters and courses active.
It in my head.
It was also the first game to feature a Dope Fish cameo appearance. There you go. Developers Andy Edwardson and Sean Gadella were inspired by Super Mario Kart and wished to create a similar experience on the personal computer. The personal computer. During development, he sent out a playable demo that included its source code to Copysoft to canvass interest in funding the project. They rejected it, and instead Apogee began funding development. However, just prior to the release, Copysoft released a similar game called Scunny Kart.
What?
Yeah, that just came full circle. Edwardson and Gadella accused Copysoft.
We're waiting.
Is it Wacky Wheels?
Hurry up, James. It's Wacky Wheels. Thank fuck. Oh dear.
How does
Scunny
your knowledge of
I can't believe
games
Scunny
run
Kart's
that
a real
deep,
thing.
James?
Scunny Kart does not have a Wikipedia page.
I'll just quickly.
I feel like next year
James will
James
tell me
just
everything
needs to
about
host.
No, growing up, we had a shitty computer.
I play Wacky Wheels so much.
All I had was like those shitty games where you only had like the first level. Like I had Blake Stone. I don't know if anyone ever played that.
I remember this game.
How many times did you play the first episode of like Wolfenstein
And like
3D?
Jill of the Jungle, all that shit. Like Jazz.
Secret Agent.
and
Scunny
Wacky
Kart.
Wheels
I
and
remember
Scunny
this.
Kart was one of them. And there was like a Scunny shooter. He had like a Wild West shooter too, and that was so hard. But I beat that first level.
I'm still confused as to what Scunny actually is.
squirrel.
It just does not sound.
I think we're going to get like removed for saying it so many times in this podcast.
Oh, he does look familiar.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he's a rip-off of Conker.
There's a Secret Agent game as well.
Scunny, bring him
Secret
back.
way.
Agent Scunny.
The games
Scunny,
you'll play
save our
are weird.
pizzas.
Anyway,
Good for you, James. Well done.
thanks.
Yeah, that's
I feel vindicated. Wait,
you.
is that the right word?
You are the scunniest.
You're the real What the Wiki.
I am.
Scunny devil.
We should have like a boss battle where you just, I don't know. Anyway, let's go. So congrats to me once more. With that, let's bring an end to this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice, and follow us at pressstartau or visit the site at pressstart.com.au. We've been joined today by Brody.
Thank you. You can follow me on. Oh, you can actually find me playing Scunny Kart on the servers. I'll be the only one there. Brody_DG.
Kieran.
HASH_BRAUN on X.
Shannon.
Yes, Shannon Grixty. On it all.
I didn't say. Can you just repeat your name with no enthusiasm? I said, like, where can we find you? And returning, making his big debut again, is Ewan.
Thanks for having me back, James.
You're
I
welcome,
very much
Ewan.
enjoyed
Anytime.
sitting on the other side. You did a fantastic job hosting.
I always do.
You can follow me all about the place at Ewan_Roxborough.
So I've been your host, James, and you can follow me on X at at JamsATJMZ. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, happy gaming.
Bye.
Bye.
So I realized I should have been like taking the timestamps as went through this and hitting the marker, and I did not. So I've made the edit all the much more fun for myself.
I probably should.
I'll just link you guys to
I will make more of an effort to
Scunny Card Online.